Good afternoon and welcome to Crossroads in Dance. I'm Maya Sapera, I'm your host for today. Today we are going to talk about the topic Yoga and Dance with Shila Mehta and François Raoult. Shila Mehta is one of those important persons who is inspiring me now for more than 10 years. She is my teacher in Kathak dance, my guru as we say in India, and much more than that. Kathak dance is North Indian classical dance. Such a training goes far beyond dance. Dance is only a door to the science of life. As Shila Mehta says, art is a bridge to the values of life. For those who don't know Shila Mehta, she is a Kathak dance exponent, a dancer, teacher, choreographer, researcher, and coach. She is artistic director of Nupur Zankar, Academy of Performing Arts and Research Center. Nupur Zankar has centers in India, the US, Belgium, the UK, and the Netherlands. Through its dance education, Nupur Zankar wants to emphasize on the psychological benefits of Indian dance on one's well-being. It also encourages its students to recognize the principles of yoga in Kathak dance idiom, besides, of course, the presence of performing arts. Amongst other things, Shila Mehta researched Gujarat literature, folk literature of Gujarat, exploring Charani ballad singing and its manifestation in Kathak idiom. She was groomed as Kathak artist under the eminent gurus and masters such as Pandit Prahlad Das, Pandit Vijay Shankar, and Pandit Birju Maharaj. She was mentored in Laya aesthetics by Pandit Suresh Talwarkar. She participated actively in choreographies of Pandit Chitrish Das and Smriti Kumudini Lakhia. She has studied with Kanakareli on Shastric tenets as elucidated in Bharat Muni's Natya Shastra, and understanding about Abhinaya aesthetics from Kalanidhi Narayana. Welcome, Shila Mehta.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And then we have also François Raoult. So I met François after a knee injury. And actually, when the traditional medicine could not help me anymore, I was called to yoga, and soon I started my first formation with François Raoult. He started yoga at the age of 19 and was trained by the well-known BKS Iyengar. In his teachings, he passes on his passion for search. So I can also feel that yoga too is a door to the science of life. And this search you can also see in his curriculum. I will also read not to forget anything. So he was graduated at the École Nationale de Yoga in Paris and studied meditation with Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. He studied Ayurveda with Dr. Robert Svoboda and anatomy with Tom Myers. He studied architecture and philosophy and recorded sacred music in the Himalayas and completed masters in ethnomusicology. And now he's directing the Open Sky Yoga Center. So, big welcome also to François. Welcome with us tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, for me it's tonight, for François also, but for Shila Mehta I don't think it's nighttime.
Yeah, it's afternoon.
Afternoon, yes. So, connection. Both Shila Mehta and François Raoult talk always about connecting yourself in order to become or to grow in Kathak or to grow in yoga or to grow as a human being. But what is connecting? It's a huge subject. I know we will only be able to touch it tonight. So I give a question as a door to the answer. Shila Mehta, could we say that Kathak is a form of meditation?
Oh, okay. Once again, thank you for having me to talk on a subject that is so close to my heart, and that's what I live. And that's always I look into my dance. So, dance and yoga. Well, on your question, can I see that as a connection, Kathak? Let me tell you, I have to just talk about a little bit of my childhood, and from there, my answer can come. As a child, you don't know, you don't analyze. As a 5-year-old kid, I was so much. I got attracted to Kathak, and Kathak, not only Kathak, but to its rhythm and to the. We have a lehra nagma, that is a cycle. So I got attracted to that, and the attraction was so great that when my parents, they could not. We were 7 brothers and sisters. So when they took me off the dance class because my mother could not cope up with drop off and kind of things, so I did not eat for 1.5 days. I said, you can do anything, but don't take me out of dance class. Well, having said that, I was not a very great dancer because I see many times kids are really, some kids are so talented and, they become the attraction. I was never, I was a tiny, small child. Nowhere there were any praise for my dance, but it was just my connection. So I think I was one of those blessed. I really consider myself to be blessed to be connected right at the point where one should connect. And I see many times people understand or they are aware of the this yogic element of dance so the element of yoga which is present in dance, it is there, but for them it is difficult to connect there, and they are searching. But whereas my connection started, I think, because it was never with my intelligence or intellect. I tried to connect, but it was there. So I feel blessed. Thank God for that. So, yes, I would really say whatever I will say, it's only through my experience. It's not anything, but I was straight away connected there. And more, I see now dance, and also we read. We also, in Bharatanatyam Shastra, it is talked about this element because the purpose of dance is Indian class. When I say dance, Indian classical dance, definitely. And I'm not only talking about Kathak now, but I'm also talking about Indian classical dances, which are 8 in numbers. So all dances have the, like as in Natya Shastra, the main purpose is never, it's never the entertainment, but it is to reach the state of the bliss. And when we define, again, bliss is a very big subject. It's a rasa, that is also a huge subject, but we will really touch upon that subject also, because without that, you can't explain dances. So, bliss is what we call in a real, when we say in the normal terms, it's a perfect happiness, the state of happiness. And bliss is also in Hindi, we call it ananda. I think that describes it better. So, ananda, the state of mind, where when we say joy, I think we say temporary. Happiness is also, to me, it comes as a temporary, how we define. But when we say ananda and bliss, it's an ecstasy. I think that's the word. So, Natya Shastra, it is very well mentioned. The ecstasy is the purpose. So, for that matter, you have to connect to yourself, because dance, to have it, it is from inside to outside, not from outside to inside. So this connection, if it doesn't happen, you may become, or you may be considered as a skilled dancer, but then it is just the dancer. That purpose is not served. The purpose of the yoga that has to happen, the union with yourself, connection with yourself, it doesn't happen then it just becomes like just the body, mind, everything is good, but somewhere that connection. So this is what I'm talking about. Connection is very much personal, and it has nothing to do with the performance, or with the, of course you will be a great performer, or you will be, I would say you will be accepted, or people will touch your dance will be felt, experienced much on a higher level by the audience if you have connected there. But otherwise, yes, you can be a dancer. But I always say artists and the dancers are different. So yes, the connection is very much, this is how I will put connection to. And the connection to the higher energy.
And Shila Mehta, can you give any tip for people who cannot relate or are searching? How can you explore that connection?
Everything is all about number. We call it a practice. So as I always feel, I say that whatever I'm saying, these are my views and it's as per my experience. So to me, and what I have done, I think it is all about, and I have experienced through my teachings. It's very important. People, the students who are they are the dance students. If they have to be the seeker. One is you are learning. So the purpose of dance is very important. One is you are learning dance, being a performing art. Sometimes your goal is just to perform on the stage, be popular. It's fine. Earn money. It's fine. It's what intention you have. Why are you dancing? That is very important. Now, if we understand that why my why is or somebody's why is seeking, now seeking for this higher purpose, there can be many, like, in life also, we seek higher purpose or we seek just the mundane life. It's fine. It's everybody's choice. So now when we are talking about the higher purpose. So you have to seek. For seeking, I'm, I think only learning just the technique of dance is not is not enough. You really have to have a wholesome experience. By that, I would say some spiritual upliftment has to be done. The spiritual reading, understanding what is life. There is so much, like we have the Vedas and the Upanishads, and also, let me tell you, it's also not only about reading. It's not that you read the books and you become master. Then today everyone will become yogi. Yes, Francois. So it is not person can be a professor or can be a PhD master, but it's all about the experience I'm talking about. So I would not say, oh, read Upanishad, Vedas, but it is through the Guru. And that is where the word guru, we may talk about word guru, but guru means the master who has actually experience and experiencing, and there is a connection when you are taking the lessons with the masters. You feel the same vibrations. So on your question, Eva, how to do it, there is no, I won't say there is any technique to do that, but yes, in a way, you have to be in association with the master, and you have to flow. You don't have to have the stress of, oh, I want to achieve this. But you are open about it. You just have to flow. And yes, you have to meditate upon whatever you are doing, continuous practice, understanding, be more aware about what you are doing it and why are you doing it. If those things are clear, you will. Yes, I'm sure one can achieve that.
Thank you, Shila Mehta. François Raoult, one direct question to you. After hearing Shila Mehta, could we say that yoga is a kind of dance?
Well, actually, I will go back like Sheila. I didn't take yoga classes when I was 5 because it didn't exist where I was living. But as soon as I was a teenager, I was deeply attracted to India. I don't know why. And one day I just went east. I walked out of my parents' house and then walked east. And then 2 months later, I was in India. So I had this very strong connection with Mother India, as if it was my own country. And it still feels that way. Like, France is my mother, my parents' country. But as soon as I put a foot in India, there's something that resonates. So I'm not so sure why. So that's part of the reason yoga came in the picture, even though it was more the whole Indian culture, like all the arts were connected, the architecture, the music. I went also quite a bit in South India to study the shadow puppets in Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh and, the temples. So they were playing the Mahabharata with those giant shadow puppets in the temples. And even though there was no yoga per se in terms of asana and pranayama, like what most Westerners associate to yoga, there was, by spirit, I think I got connected there. And then when I went back home after that first long trip of 6 months, it was more like a pilgrimage. Then I search for yoga classes, basically. And I had the luck to find a teacher who was connected with Vinoba, who took over Gandhi's work in India, and also was connected to BKS Iyengar. So from the beginning, I got a good education, and then I moved on from there. And often we say yoga is more art. I mean, it's actually a science as well, but it has an art, even though it's not a performance art. I will agree with Sheila. Like it's a bit odd to show asana and have people clapping afterwards, like you see in yoga conferences. It just doesn't feel right. Even if actually they do what they call yoga dance, it's still a bit disturbing because just because you choreograph asana doesn't mean you're actually a dancer. It's still a bit artificial for my taste. So there is a stillness or meditative aspect, of course, or ecstatic, I will agree. Like there's a mystical experience by staying a long time in an asana, we transcend the physical body, and the ecstatic, the rasa comes from that, this kind of resonance, ecstatic resonance, doesn't happen every day, but if you practice daily, then once in a while you have an aha moment or something who falls on you, like most artists will experience. So they paint every day and then it's just so, and then one day, bam, something really happened. So the stillness, I think the holding of the asana, which was a bit more, it's actually a traditional take, because when you go back to a century or two, back in India, nobody's actually speeding the asana like they did in Los Angeles or New York City in the 80s. People were actually meditating in the asana, sitting being one of them. And then there is inner forces of movement who are transcended, who are opposite forces. There's the vayus who are playing. There's a lot of things who are actually dancing within yourself, which are not visible. From that point of view, I think it could be seen as a dance, even though we're not actually moving. And then maybe in the opposite, when dancers in classical Indian schools are moving, they're actually meditating as if they were still, even though they're in movement. So I don't think it's that far away. In fact, if you've seen the mobiles of Calder, like the big sculpture, there's some in the Guggenheim in New York City, those giant mobiles who move in space, those are a bit like dancing, but eventually they get stabilized, they become stable. So there's not much difference between something with mobile and something with stable. It's just because there's no visible movement doesn't mean there's no dance. So from that point of view, I think it's pretty close, even though it appears to be quite far away.
Thank you, François.
This is so interesting, Francois. I see that when we say dance, yoga, on Eva's question, like yoga and dance, maybe there is no movement about it. But when we look at the philosophy, we call it behind it, or we call it the purpose, what we are trying to achieve, that harmonized, that movement. I think that's where the dance and yoga, they are similar or same, because the idea or what we are trying to achieve through it, the stillness. So even though dance, Indian classical dance, though there is movement, but the idea is to reach Shiva, the stillness. It is very interesting, and we do reach the stillness. The stillness of mind does not, to me or to anyone, does not mean that I'm sitting in one place, but it is more about you don't have any conflicts in the mind. You are so harmonized. I don't know whether I'm coming out much clearer. I would say there is no, everything becomes one, like, the dance and the dancer. And it happens. As you said, that sometimes you are in a yoga and it doesn't happen every day, but it also happens. Then the dance and the dancer, they merge. It just becomes one. Then that's where the yoga, I would say, even I'm dancing, it's a dynamic meditation then. So it becomes one. It does become one. So we always tell the students also, and also I practice that. We are saying that Shastra Tantra, Vidya, and Kala. These four things are there. Shastra is the science. Shastra. Tantra is the technique. Vidya is the knowledge. And Kala means the art, ultimate. So if you want to reach ultimate, so first you are taught everything. There is a science. There is nothing like you can just do anything at random. So there is a Shastra, there is a Tantra, there is a technique. And then technique has to be passed through the guru, not through the technology. Okay, because there is so much emotions and the vibrations. And then if it stays as per till the technique, then you are not becoming an artist. Then you have to forget the technique. So if I say, if I'm on the stage and dancing, and if I'm dancing my technique, you will not feel my dance. You have to dissolve. So you have to forget all your technique. You have to forget all your science. So your mind is free of thoughts, emotions, and anything which is happening is happening. And that's where the dance lies. So maybe even like in Kathak, we have a beautiful thought where we are just still. So I've heard that we have not seen Achan Maharajji, who is the Pandit Birju Maharajji's father. He was such a fat, healthy body man. And he will come and he will stand like a 16-year-old girl. And you can see that 16-year-old girl is standing there. So you are transcending the physicality. And there is no like Nadidina, or there is no movement happening in the stillness, but inside there is a lot of dancing is happening. So here, Eva, I would like to say that yes, dance and yoga means dance. I will not take it as just the movements. It is more about the energy which is within us, and we are reaching there. And it's a communication, and we are also not only feeling, but we are also communicating to the audience.
Thank you, Shila Mehta. Thank you. Yes, myself also, I feel that both yoga and dance, they challenge me with some techniques. But in the end, it's about the experience which you reach through this technique. Like technique gives you freedom of expression, freedom of feeling good in your body. But it's only a means to reach. And we have to also accept that some days it's going better and another day it's going less good. But you can still reach the freedom of mind. Yes, the freedom of mind. I think in both yoga and Kathak, freedom of mind is important for me. Yeah. Okay. So, in Kathak, we visualize music and we visualize the story which is told. And yoga has also this door, like Nada yoga and the Pashyanti. So I would like to ask François, could you briefly introduce us to the concept of Pashyanti, and with the idea that, like for me, when I was learning about this aspect of yoga, I was directly thinking about the Kathak or other dance forms which visualize the music.
Well, first I have to say, like, Nada yoga is a bit of a quite original branch of yoga, and most Westerners don't actually know it exists. It's mostly stated in Hatha Yoga Pradikippa in the 4th chapter and some other remote text. So when people think yoga, they don't have in mind Nada yoga. And if they do, they think it's just like playing music in a yoga class or something, which, well, it doesn't have much to do with it. So the 4 stages of Nada, which I investigated, for 2 decades or so now, are still a bit mysterious. They're actually hard to define. All we know is the a hatha nada, the one who is struck, which is what we hear, and includes music and everything human beings will produce as sound. That's pretty much clear, like there's audible sound. But as soon as you go into mental sounds or visual sounds or more, which we say also more cosmic sounds, then it's a bit more blurry to define, and every school has different opinions. So Pashanti, from my understanding, has a lot to do with synesthesia, where the organs of perception can actually permute. Like you could hear images, and you could see music, for example. So, and of course, there's a genetic factor. Some people have that gift, at birth, like they actually have this ability to, when they hear a sound, they see a color. That's a genetic set. Like, it could be practiced a bit, but some people are more gifted than others. And then, but you could, for sure, when you hear music, visualize a story or fractals or any or maybe mandalas or things like this will come to your mind just from the sound, and the other way around. Like for some people, they look at a landscape or they see something, and the sound, they hear the soundtrack. They hear the soundtrack of what they see. So in yoga, that's not used so much because the practice of asana, in hatha yoga is actually silent, and there's no, I don't think, besides hearing your own breath or your heartbeat, there's not much there. Nada yoga is almost like a separate track where you really meditate and study sound, go deep into the essence of sound. And so it includes visual sound. So that's, for me, that's interesting because I'm a musician as well, but I think it's not as common. So but the fact, like, things are seen when you hear music, like you see the story or you see other shapes or artistic pictures in your mind. That's, I think, that may be a common ground, yes, to Nada yoga and classical dance in Kathak.
Yes, and also I think a dancer visualizes him or herself, the music, the sound, the words, but there is other aspect that the audience which is looking will also visualize what the dancer is visualizing together with the music. So there are like different levels in that, in my experience. Shila Mehta, after hearing François, do you think that we could say that Kathak maybe is just a form of Nada yoga?
I see, I mean, we all know that everything in the universe is in the state of vibration. There is a vibrations, right, in the universe. So we also know about the existence of healing vibrations, which sound has, which the mantras have. When you recite the mantras, then that sound, even it's a healing vibrations you get received from there. If you mark in the smell, we call it aroma. Yeah. Incense sticks are like, you should not be allergic to the incense sticks aroma, but I love incense. As soon as I have my favorite incense sticks aroma, it heals me inside. Okay. So these are like also, when we say, also in the spiritual world, we keep on saying that I'm not body. They make you to say that I am a beautiful soul. I am a beautiful soul. I am a happy soul. Many practices are there where we call that I am powerful. So we call it a positive talking to Yeah, positive sound to yourself, positive saying. So this all, if you mark, they have healing vibrations. So sound has such healing vibrations. See, if you enter the temple or church, or that matter wherever the sound is there. So when we take the example of the temple, you hit the bell, and then there is the sound, and it immediately it calms you. Okay, when there is the arti in the mandir temple which happens, because those instruments they are, and that sound is not a chaotic, it is not a metallic, but it is the vibrations. Yeah, and that is why if you observe the Indian instruments, Indian music especially, where there is the Indian music on which the Kathak is based, if we say we dance to the music, so even tabla. So the person is playing with the hands. So the vibration, so touching that, and the sound is happening. So this, it is observed that all these sounds have the healing vibrations. So yoga, yes, yoga is for basically healing, is for creating a balanced state of mind. Why do we do yoga? It is just a harmony. It's basically at the end of it, we all need a balanced state of mind. So definitely now coming to Kathak, we have, if you see, we have padant, recitation. Okay. Now, how many ways you create, and I, when I'm doing it, I'm really inside with me. So that sound. So I'm becoming a percussionist. So my voice. Now, when we create this, so nad is like when it is said now, Om is the first nad, and Om also a, you, ma, and where we are connecting at the different places. So even the syllables of tabla, which I recited now, like dha tirkat dha, dha dha kit. So even the tabla is playing, and they are playing. These sounds, they don't have any meaning. So yes, so it becomes nad. I won't call it a music, but it is a nad. So music is also, to me, I would call, you put it in a certain form. But I mean, in Hindi, the best way to describe it is a nad. So nad yoga, yes, absolutely nad yoga is happening when we are doing recitation. It's absolutely nad yoga, because this sound, they really create, scientifically it is said that it is, you are impacting. See, our body is there are many web energies. It's a web of energy, right? There are many nadis inside. So what is happening? Whatever we do, when you think negative, you are creating negative energy. We do say. So in a way, we are minusing on the energy. When you think positive, when you create this sound, when you hear this nad yoga, so sound of the bells, so the sound which is the healing vibrations, smell which is the healing vibration, you have it, it has a positive effect on the energy which is running inside your body. That is the whole science behind it. So now coming back to Kathak, yes, definitely we do have it. And uh, when we also ragas, because we do with the nagma. So suppose we are taking Kalavati or we are taking Shiva Ranjini. So there is a whole science that how raga impacts or behaves on your psychology. It has a lot of therapeutic impact on your mind. So that raga, we are constantly in Kathak. In that raga, only our nagma is being played. And then we are creating this sound with our footwork. So footwork, again, we are touching the energy of the earth because we don't wear the shoes. So what is happening? That the earth is also generating the energy. You are taking the energy from the earth and it is getting inside. So much is going inside your body so far as energy, which is beyond physical, is happening. Yes.
Thank you, Shila Mehta. François, do you like to add something to this?
Yes, actually, the only experience I had will be closer to Kathak is I took few lessons in Kathakali with a friend of mine who actually won the best actor to play. He was playing the last scene of the Mahabharata when there's a vampire, and he got the best award for this. And I took lessons with him. In fact, I invite him every 2 years when I bring a group to India. So I get the footwork is phenomenal as well, like the impact and the density of the connection with the earth. I mean, the few things I did were exhausting and difficult. But I mean, I get the virtuosity of the connection with the earth and the complexity of the rhythm. And yeah, that's so. Of course, nada is there. Nada is everywhere. It's not a question. The vibration is there. So it's just when there is sound in a more formal way, then we say it's more like nada yoga, like somebody's playing a raga. But even if nobody is playing, there is sound everywhere. So that connection I have very deep since the early age. Yeah.
Thank you, François. I feel also that Nada Yoga is also about vibrations, and when you dance, you try also to become someone or visualize someone, and I think there also you communicate to vibrations that you send to the audience, and the audience is sending back to you. Or if when you are alone, same to yourself. I mean, like energy vibrations. Does someone want to say something about this? Shila Mehta?
Sorry, you have to repeat. I did not get you clear.
Yeah.
If you can
So,
please.
a sound is a vibration. But a vibration, you can hear it, but sometimes you cannot hear it. Like human beings, if we are in front to each other, I can feel, oh, this human being, I feel a connection, or it feels good, or it feels not good. I think that's about the energy that we vibrate, that we transmit to each other. And as a dancer, also, we consciously go into vibrations that we want to communicate to the audience, and the audience will feel or react or not react. I just thought also about that topic.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to say is basically, I would put it up that way, that it is about the exchanging of energy also. Whether in a way also, even if we are not dancing and if we are meeting, now of course COVID, we are not meeting physical. I don't know when that time is going to come. But even suppose if we three of us are meeting in a room, in a way we are communicating, even there is a silence, the communication is happening. And that, yeah, so that energy is always we are exchanging. So there is also a big science about exchanging. And we do have, I have many experiences about, we say, telepathy. Yeah, we say, oh, I was also thinking the same thing what you are thinking now. Exactly, same time. So that is proved in a way that there is a communication through the energy. But when we are dancing, yes, definitely we are exchanging the energy. The dancer is dancer and the audience, viewers. Yeah. So that vibrations are happening. Yeah. But as Franco is rightly said, a vibration does not have to have the sound or something, even nothing, then also vibrations. So yeah, it is there. It's there in the universe.
Yeah, maybe I can add that actually what makes the difference is if the presence, if somebody is fully present, there's a presence with capital P, and we can feel it or you don't feel it. I mean, even whatever it's a musician, a dancer, or a yogi or yogini, in an asana, we could feel if somebody has a presence or not. When it's presence, there is, but never transcends the person. There's nothing to do about the person doing it. And then there's a certain vibration. You see it in the skin. You see it maybe in the extremities of the body or in some expression, or maybe a certain neutrality of expression, and this is what touches you because there's a high level of presence. And it's hard to explain. Like some people feel it, some don't. So that's why there's good technicians, where you were saying in the beginning, right? There's people who perform asana well, but it's boring to death. Nothing happens. Actually, your dance or theater, I've seen countless, even high-level modern dance troupes, and you're just bored because all you see the clothes they're wearing, or the lights of the theater, even though they are good, right, technically advanced, but there's no presence. It's almost like you wonder why are they bored? Are they just doing it because they're paid? And even actually big names in dance could be like this, because maybe they overperform and they get tired, or so that's kind of sad. It's unbearable. And then there's people who have a state of innocence, who may have a bit less technique, but they have a great deal of presence, and they're the one who count. Like somebody who is playing the accordion in the subway, or a poor little kid who dances in the street will move you more than somebody who has whatever amount of technical ability. So that's something I don't think you can really practice. The presence is you have it or you don't have it, kind of thing, or maybe it falls on you one day. And that's what makes the difference. So it doesn't actually matter what the form is. If there's presence, then you're touched.
Thank you, François.
Yeah, that's so well said, Franco. The presence is the key to everything. And don't you think, Franco, it's just sharing with you or asking you, is like, it's yoga, and also if I call our dance, or rather let's take yoga only, it is more about to create that awareness, right? To make you, I think that's where the whole thing is. We are always searching for that. See that more you are present for more number of hours in a day, more you are spiritually energized. It is said. Because most of the time, either we are in the past or in future, that presence, like the way, look at the way as it is. And that's where you're filled. So more your mind is of course, mind cannot be without thoughts. That is also true. But more you are into the moment, what you're saying, presence. And that's where you will be also able to listen to the vibrations and connect to the other things more. Because with our five senses only, we are creating that cover around us, which doesn't make us these vibrations are there. But sometimes we are away from it most of the time. And here I would like to say, the well, she can hear the sound from far, from miles and miles, well, even the dogs, they have, unimaginable sense of the smell we human being can't. So if you even observe the animals, it's, of course, it is those senses, even it says that human being, we all have the potential, we have it. But because we are, I will call blessed with the five senses, but we don't use the five senses the way it has to. We sometimes overuse it. And we stop ourselves from being present in the moment. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to share this point where presence has come. It's a beautiful...
Actually, as far as animals go, they are performing much better than human beings, like the whales and the bats, and they can hear and things we don't. So we cannot be have too much of a complex of superiority there.
Yeah, because the reason is that they don't have those five senses, and we human beings have five senses. So, but we are overusing them, or you're not using in the proper way, or we are becoming too greedy, or whatever. Then it goes on and on. Where we need to bring the balance, and that's where the whole chaotic world is happening. Well, yeah.
Thank you. Interesting.
Yeah.
The next topic is lines in the atmosphere. In the yoga, I feel like when you make a pose, you are kind of part of lines which are going through the atmosphere. And in Kathak, I feel like I'm designing lines around me, visualizing them, and through that connecting to those lines. Lines, I imagine like a kind of a huge web of connections, energies. So, yeah. Shila Mehta, what are your thoughts about this?
See, you being also a Kathak student, and you must have heard me saying that about the core, right? The core. So, Indian classical dance form, or I'm talking about that because I'm from there, and I'm sure in ballet also, in any classical dance form, which is very, very strict about the core, because that's where it's a center of the energy. Yeah. So once again, Indian dances are more about first create inside all the energy, everything. When you do so, first you have to train your body inside and just to make. So if you are creating the lines, like say geometrical line, which you're saying, if I'm doing my diagonal this, so in a way I'm also creating my energy inside the diagonal, you know. So the movement of the energy inside and the movement and making the lines outside. So it is also, it has been researched, in fact, with the dance form itself, like Bharatnatyam, Kathak, Odissi. If you see Bharatnatyam, it is all in squares outside. But at the same time, there is so much is happening inside the whole sacred geometry, we call it. It's happening inside. The shapes are happening. Your energy, as we call, how many nadis are there? Maximum is the 72,000, that web energy, the subtle ones. Huh? So there also the impact is happening. Kathak, and also those, if you see the square, and in that the different triangles are happening. It's called cosmic energy, or we call it cosmic mandala. The name is a mandala. So if you look at that diagram, and if you see the movement of the energy, which is, you are creating those patterns inside internally, and there is a effect of the outside lining which you are making in the space inside on the similar way. Okay. Kathak, you will find more triangles. Bharatanatyam is more squarish. It doesn't mean that Bharatanatyam doesn't have triangle. Yeah. Sometimes the crossing of it, there's a triangle. So that is the reason maybe on outer side, if a dancer has worked just to create the nice poses outside, but nothing has gone inside to create, then they will, he or she will not have that effect or that yogic energy impact might not happen. But the one who has paid the attention, or one who is aware of that, it definitely happens. So there is a lot of impact. It does happen now. Kathak is a triangle. If you see Odissi, it is in Tribhangi. Okay, if you see the Odissi, it goes right, left, and this. So it goes in the Tribhangi. Okay, so that way, if you find all the forms, Manipuri, it is more roundish. Okay, Kathak is the only form which is vertical, and it is very elevated. The energy, I see the energy is going up, energy is up. Bharatanatyam is, it's more grounded because it's on a choki. Yeah. So there is an impact of the energy also along with your linings, if that is your question. Yeah.
Thank you, Shila Mehta. François, what is your opinion about this subject of lines?
I think there's a lot of things that cross my mind. The first one is I'm going back with puppetry because I studied puppetry when I was younger, and actually I went to India also to see what they were doing with puppets. But there is the string puppets, especially. There is a bit a similar story with Brahma being the puppet, holding human beings by a sutra or vertical line, and then we're just kind of. And I think this what strikes me in Kathak especially is that there's a verticality which cannot be compromised. And I think in yoga, and this is why in the BKS Iyengar's teaching, there was also a bit of maybe an obsession, a positive obsession with Tadasana and the verticality of the asana, like being transcended. So there's an anti-gravity force with must go like sunflowers. Right? There's something magical about going vertical, and you don't compromise the heart center for no reason. Like you will see in more modern, maybe more expressive modern form of dance in the West. But so they break the line basically. It has no more strings as we had cut the vertical string. So I think that's in asana there is virtual lines. There's lines of energy from radiating from the core, but there's also as if you were taking by invisible strings to go beyond your body and beyond the pranayama kosha even. So and that's also what gives the presence. Is there something bigger holding you in space? So the body doesn't stop at the skin. So the lines of energy, sometimes we see them, people in the extremity, there's life. When the energy goes through your hand, it goes beyond your hand. So the fingers keep going basically in space. So that's something I always have in mind when I practice. Like you're in some kind of a web, like a bit like a spider in the web. And that's why also you don't have a balancing issue. People who cannot balance because they stop the body on the photo where the body stops. And if you have virtual lines, then you're supported by those virtual lines. And it's the same in music. When there is silence, the good musician like Mozart, for example, or Pandit Jashraj, when he sings, if there's a silence, you can hear the music within the silence. It has a curve. It still has a line within the silence. It doesn't go like blank or drops. Right? There's a bit of an ascending curve. And this is why the silence is always the right amount, because they can hear the resonance keeps going, and that's a virtual line. I mean, I can go on with that, several other examples, but I think there's a lot of, I think in Tai Chi also, there's a lot of virtual lines. Like, I did a little Tai Chi when I was younger in Paris, and there was an older Chinese master who didn't speak a word of French, so he was correcting us. He'll be taking your hand, and then say, no, it's not here, it's here, not here. It looks exactly the same to me, but for him, he will see in space.
Yes.
Will see the line of the movement in space before you were doing the movement, so he could guide you in some kind of invisible way, which, it's kind of magical. So I'm assuming like most of the classical form of dance in India have something of that type, like a bit of a web of lines who support you, guide you. And this is why you cannot go wrong in some ways. You cannot make a mistake because you follow the lines, which other people cannot see.
Yeah, I think that's a nice way of saying. I think when we do, Francois, when we start dancing, we create an imaginary square around us. And this comes at a very later stage, invisible square. So I automatically fix myself, like not fix, I would say, but there is a square, which I know that's there. But now, if I'm throwing my hand here, but I'm not restricting myself till hand only, but I'm going in the space. So my eyes are helping me to transcend the room. But because my body has the limitation, but this is the experience, this is body. So I always call the footwork, the sound which we create with our foot and all, it's an audio. This becomes visual, and these eyes are the experience of being, of presence, what you're saying. So my presence, I can just give a huge dimension to that with my inner energy, what I'm creating by using everything around me, and I'm taking also the energy from outside, because I have to take the cosmic energy inside to enrich myself, and then again get back to that. And that's where I think beautiful yoga happens. because we become the whole one, inside and outside needs to be. And it doesn't happen, but like the whole thing is that the intention is that more you stretch. So there is a square. And when that square is happening, then I'm creating the triangle, I'm creating the circle, I'm creating the line which I wanted. So lots of that geometry happens, and it doesn't stay as a geometry. It becomes more geometry of your energy and of your presence, I think. Yeah.
So is there a dance which is based on the Sri Yantra?
On
Is there a classical dance which is based on Sri Yantra?
this is Sri Yantra? Yeah, of course. You're so right. Yeah, that's the correct word we can use. Yeah. I think this takes us to Sri Yantra. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes. And this cannot be taught. It is just you are seeking. And I think with my experience, I'm saying, I think it comes in your experience. I can't say that, now I will teach you this, but it's a ongoing, you keep on telling your students again the same thing over and over again, or you to yourself also. You are, so as I said, one cannot say I would learn it. You have to be the seeker. There's a difference between seeking and just doing it or knowing it. Mm-hmm. You have to seek. When you say seek, then the search is on always. I mean, it never gets completed. And that's why you see, even just Rajji, you mentioned Bhimsen Joshi ji or Zakir Bhai. We will always say, even in the next birth, I will not. And I'm sure in yoga also, there's always you say, okay, still I won't. So that's the beauty. That's the beauty of energy, which we talk, because I think that cosmic energy of which we all are part of that cosmic energy. So we have so much inside. We are so strong, but somehow we don't recognize it. So if we have the presence all the time present with us, we will feel one with everything. And whatever happens outside, on your question, geometry linings, it becomes inside, and then it merges, and then the linings will become really huge with a lot of dimension.
Maybe the yantras, some of the yantras are like archetypes. I mean, they are deeply embedded in a reptilian brain, and so when you have yantras or early form of mandalas, they actually express themselves in various ways. They could be in music, they could be in fractals, they could be in dance, they could be an asana is a yantra. Basically, it's a symbolic gesture as well. So even though, because there's a bunch of triangles and circles, and you could integrate an asana in a mandala, not all of them, but some of them. So I think maybe there's something was deeply embedded in human beings in the original prints, and then takes different forms in art or in science. And then science say, it looks like a mandala. Well, of course. It's already there. Yeah.
Yes, it's already
there. Virtual. It could be virtual, but it could also be tangible.
Nice picture. Thank you. We were touching the subject of rasa when we were talking about Nada yoga. So rasa is a huge subject, I know that. And basically in classical dance, we all the time hear rasa, rasa, rasa. But rasa is also part of yoga. So I thought, let's hear first that viewpoint, because we don't hear that very much in art. That's not the first thing which I hear when I started yoga. So I thought, let's start from that viewpoint. So François, what do you want to share about this topic?
Well, the rasa, the feeling or this kind of ecstatic resonance of your experience, that's something I wish everybody to experience when they practice. So it's not something you could actually run after or want. It has to fall on you like rain. So there's some the ecstatic moments we have in music, for example. I think the rasa is there as well. So it could happen when somebody touches you deeply. There's rasa. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's somebody doing something with a high level of awareness. For example, like calligraphy. Sometimes I see somebody write their names like as if they were like, in meditation. Then you have a rasa moment. There's this juice. There's also the Ayurvedic sense of it. That's more where I'm going with the yoga, because I'm not as familiar with the rasa within the Kathak dance. But I mean, on Ayurvedic side, if there's no rasa, you're dead. Basically, if there's no juice. We say it in English, we say it in French. Right? That expression, you have no juice. I mean, there's no light in your eyes. There's no sparkle in your eyes. Things are a bit kind of sad looking or bluesy. When there is rasa, there's joy, but it's not a joy which is superficial. Right? There's a kind of a state of bliss, like you mentioned, and that's what the state of yoga is seeking as well. Whatever the medium is, right? It could be asana, anything. It could be chanting. It could be walking in the woods, or dancing in a more formal way. So that's, I think for me, that's a very important thing. It's one of the reasons I practice, is to get those moments where what we call rasadvani, when the fluid system is actually awakened by the resonance of sound, of movement, or some kind of pranic flow. And that's what makes the asana alive, or you have a sense of well-being, but not in a superficial way. So I'm not sure if that actually goes in the same direction than the rasa you have, defined in your modalities. But that's what art is so essential. So the artist can experience rasa and transmit it, or it's contagious. Then the audience or whoever is watching you, even though yoga is usually not it's not a performing art. So it's not really so much in the yoga department. But as soon as there's a musical form or a movement form with an art, then the audience will experience the rasa of will transcend the person who is performing.
Thank you. Shila Didi, can you react to what François just said?
Yeah, I think he said, and he said quite clearly about the rasa, the aesthetic experience, as the purpose of Indian classical dance, even I mentioned earlier, is dance and music is the main primary goal is to have this rasa. It's a rasa theory, as described by Natya Shastra, Bharata Muni. Now, what is this rasa? If we translate in English purely, what Franco is also saying, juice. Now, anything juice. So one thing is very clear, that when we perform, we are performing for an audience, and audiences they also come to experience your art form. So there is something, artist is sharing his or her skills, energy, presence, now whatever level, to the audience. And audience is also there to experience, have their presence, be attentive to the artist's presentation. So that is a communication. Now what happens? Now what is that communication? Something, if you see in classical dance, it's all about you are experiencing inside, and your duty as an artist is to, now I'm watching beautiful, say sun. Okay, so I'm watching and I'm experiencing that sun is very bright. It's so bright. Now my eyes are also bright. Now what is that? So with my two hands, I may say, with my mudra, I may say it is the sun. I'm not becoming sun, but I'm just, because how the person who is watching me will understand why I'm doing this. It's saying, oh, she's a little bit brightening her eyes, but what is the reason? So this, in the dance, we have mudra. So we say, we make a nice drawing, I would say, a shape of the sun. So that is the round. So people will understand that she's talking about the sun. Okay. Now I'm watching. So first I have to feel that brightness of the sun in my eyes. Now they are watching and they feel the brightness of the sun in their experience, they have it. So whatever is happening, and it is creating the rasa. If I am not effective and I'm just doing like this, then they will say, oh, she did, oh, she's watching sun. But then rasa is not happening. There is no experience is happening. You understood? So rasa is that. So in the communication, the experience, the way artist is happening inside her, saying they are experiencing. In classical dance, it is very important, and in our shastras, also it is said in rather audience, we call it a rasika. Rasikas are given more importance than the artist. It was very interesting because their artist is performing and creating rasa, but audience is not performing. They are sitting and they are more like they have to be more saradai. Saradai is like they have to be more sensitive to feel that experience. So it is difficult for them. So that is why in the audience, many times some audience comes, they are just like this. There is nothing happening here because they have not sensitized their anything here. They are just like this. Okay. Then rasa will not happen there. So it doesn't make artist a bad artist, but we didn't have a good audience. So sometimes we say, oh, it's good to have a good audience. Even if there are 5 people, if they are good, then because artist is constantly getting the vibrations from the audience also. So more better audience in the artist, audience to the artist performance will go much better. Having said that, so rasa is that magic. I feel the rasa is so great because rasa is the only messenger which is becoming like, from one to another. It's just constantly the rasas are happening, going. Even our audience rasa, if they are enjoying, either they are doing clap, that is also rasa coming to the artist, and artist is again, getting excited to perform more and better. Second way of saying rasa is also dissolving yourself. When I'm looking at the sun, at the brightness of the sun, I'm experiencing. Now, I become Shila Mehta as just the object. Okay. Now, the experience means so in a way, I'm dividing myself between two. Okay. I divide myself between, because that's the subject. So I'm watching that, but I know that I am watching it. I know I'm creating that and I'm passing it on that. I become observer. So that line, okay, that is being experienced. So I think, yeah, so the rasa is a very, it's a ultimate. It cannot be, it is again about the practice. If you ask me that how to achieve that, it is again about becoming or being into it and just more about feeling it and be aware or be more present about it.
Thank you. I wanted just to come back also to the Nara Yoga and the Rasa. I was wondering if there are any ragas matching the different rasas. Do we do like, of course we can do all the rasas on one raga, but are there typical ragas for typical rasas?
To me?
Yes.
Yeah, people do. Yeah, but there is yes and no to both. The reason is that, like if you say Vasant Rag, and immediately you will go to the Vasant Ritu, that feeling of that Vasant Ritu. If you say Megh Mallar, then you go to Barish, like that's the rain or cloudy or, rain and, feeling of that. But if you talk about Shivaranjani or if you talk about Sohini, to me, Sohini is very not sad, but it is very, I would say, very painful, but in a nicer way. But for some people, it is very romantic also. I have seen many musicians telling me that no. So I have interacted with many musicians. So from there, I will say that yes, some of them are very distinctively, they are creating some impact and which is similar to most of the human beings. But some of the ragas are also there that maybe it is creating some impact of, like, say, happy to me, but it may be same raga will be sad for you. So it is a different impact also. So yes and no.
Yes, okay. Thank you. So I wanted to speak also about cycle, since cycle is it's actually really part of the whole Indian culture or way of thinking. And we find it back in dance and also in yoga, also in breathing. So the cycle as for creating something, maintaining something, destroying something to be able to create again and to start the cycle again. So here when I talk about cycle, I directly link to the cycle of the rhythm, the cycle of the lahra, and also the sum. So sum is something very typical. So first of all, we should say what is sum and how can you relate the sum to the cycle of life. Shila Mehta, for you.
Some. Some is, now I'll start with the cycle first. So, Indian dance and music, they are on the music system, which is Hindustani Tal Paddhati. We have this Tal. So there are number of talas. So Tin Tal is considered to be the king of Tal, which is of the 16 beats. Now, what is this Tal? Tal is a time cycle actually. So when a Tal, it captures the 16 bits in one cycle. So I always compare that with the clock, like how in the clock we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 12, right? So 60 minutes make it 1 hour, and 60 seconds make 1 minute. So same way, if we consider that way 16 bits, 16 matras will make tin tal, so 1 tal, and which is tin tal. So that way, if you say, for example, if you take dhamar, then 14 bits, then japtal, then 10 bits. So you have to imagine the clock with the 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Dhamar till 14. Okay. Now 12, we have ektal, the clock actually we have it. So that was 16 bits. Now what is sum? Sum is when you finish the cycle of 16 bits and you come to the first beat. So in a way, we can say sum is the completion and the first beat, or again it starts, it completes on the second and then the first beat. Now transition from the last bit to first bit is a very emotional movement. And that is where the whole pulse of the happiness, or of the what do you call interesting, the feeling of nice feeling to reach the sum, it happens and people enjoy that. Any layman, even if one doesn't know about tal system or anything, if you see in the audience, everyone is enjoying coming on the sum. It's a very emotional moment. Emotional moment means it's very touchy. It is very touchy. So many masters have talked about this, that why we get so touched to this one. So when we say, so philosophically, if we define, it is it is very well said that this cycle, which starts from 1 to, it is representing the birth, life, and death of a human being. You are giving birth, and you're spending the life, and then death. Birth, life, death. So that way, this cycle. So if you see in Kathak particularly, this cycle of birth, life, and death is very distinct. If you start any tal or any bandish, you will say for example, ta the ta a the tat the the tat tat ta din ta da din ta ta din ta ta din. Kritakta kadigata tu gadigata katadi kadadi te kritakta kadigata tu gadigata katadi te kritakta kadigata tu gadigata katadi kadadi da din ta. So something is happening, the musicality is going, your visualization is happening, and it is coming to some. Again, it is coming, again, it is going. So if you see when it is taking birth, and then there is a sustainable period, and it is reaching, and then na din da, again coming to, you really are on a kind of a da 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 da. If you see, so many things have happened, it is reaching the sun. So that feeling, and that is where it's very interesting, it is really fun to enjoy that. So birth, life, and death is meant death in a way, we won't say we celebrate death, but yes, in a way, it's nice to die also so that we get new body. Okay, when we are too old, I think it's nice to die. It's nice. Tomorrow, if somebody says, "Oh, you're not going to die," I'll be the first one to get so bored about it. Who want to go? So when you say we don't, so birth, life, and death, birth, life, and death. This is the cycle which is very distinctively even danced in Kathak, or even in singing. You see this. Some any sitar player doing music, sarangi player, any that. Yeah.
Thank you. Francois, when I'm thinking about the sum, I thought actually also about when you do pranayama and you have those stops in your breathing. For me, I was thinking about the sum in the Kathak, but I don't know if it's something which you could relate to.
Well, it's probably a bit of a stretch to apply the Tao concept to yoga practice. I mean, there's several ways I can see it. Of course, the breath, some people think the pranayama came from the psalmody of the text. So actually, they had to have a metric or a rhythmical way to chant the Gita, the sutras. Yes?
Could you maybe just say what is pranayama for people who don't know?
Pranayama will be anything that has to do with breath, especially a way to manipulate the rhythm to create special effects. So, of course, from that point of view, that will be like, in fact, there is, I remember having a recording of different talas with the tabla, and then we could do pranayama over it because it will be rhythmically structured. So that could be done classically that way, but it's a bit atypical. But the breath itself, I will say the inhalation, exhalation, pause, even without formal kumbhakas in between, it's a primal rhythm of human beings. So has actually, from there, the psalmody, when you chant, you have to breathe. I mean, you have to inhale somewhere. And then it gets organized. And then probably the formal pranayama came, or maybe it's the other way around. Pranayama was there, and then you chanted the sutras a certain way because it has to follow the breath. So the heartbeat, the other biological rhythms, they are either more subtle or not as easily heard. So the heartbeat probably also has a major influence on what we project, as especially in music, with the tempo or kind of underlying organic rhythms, which are within us. But I think the formal aspect that could be strictly rhythmical in pranayama is not always a better choice, especially if it's too early, because it actually makes people feel trapped. They have to follow more the natural rhythm of breath, and then from there maybe structure it. So in fact, a lot of the trouble in pranayama happen in people holding retentions too long, and they're not ready for it, and it disturbs the system because they're actually too attached to the structure of the rhythm instead of respecting their own potential breathing. So yeah, there is something really, really strong about breath in terms of behind sound, behind music. And then if music and dance were originally one, obviously that's also the breathing. The breathing cycle is behind everything. There's no doubt. And then the only other thing I could say is like if I practice a long session or even if I teach a class, it is a bit structured like a raga in a kind of a loose way. There's an alap where people kind of, prepare themselves, kind of an opening ritual, or where you just kind of take your marks, hear the notes of the mode or the theme of the day, and then suddenly you have a bit of a rhythm or a certain sequencing was more rhythmical within the asana. The timing becomes important, and each asana has a certain organic timing to respect, or for a special effect you may want to stay longer or shorter, or sequence them differently. So when the vinyasa of the class is actually where there's a bit of a tala behind it. There's a more of a rhythmical part of the practice, and then it gets resolved in shavasana, a bit like at the end of the raga. It goes back to the nada, to the drone, you only have an octave and a fifth, and the natural harmonics. So at the end of the practice, you also have a sense of resolution in some one sound who contains them all. So from that point of view, there may be some loose connection, but I think I don't think you could apply the concept of tal in a strict way in yoga because it's not so much, it's not structured that much or that deep or that detailed. So the connection with the breathing is there. And the classical pranayama have numbers. I mean, it's 8-4, 8-4, or 12, or whatever. You have numbers to play with. But the most important part in pranayama is to have a sense of organic feeling, also of breathing, to have a natural sense of breathing versus kind of trapping it into a fixed rhythm. That will be a lot more difficult, I think, in yoga to follow than in dance, because the dance has to be one with the music. So obviously, there's a rhythm. You cannot dance on another rhythm than the tabla is playing, unless you really want to insult the tabla player.
Yes. For me, the sum is also more than just a part of the tal. It's also like a kind of celebration of a new cycle. Like the transition and then the celebration. Okay, starting again. You leave something behind and you start again. So that was actually why the connection came in my experience.
Yeah, I will also like to add something about this aspect of the yoga which we find in our dances, Kathak, the inhalation and exhalation of the pranayama. So especially we find that in the thought. We really make our breath to dance along with the rhythm. When I say along with the rhythm means not necessarily you do 1, 2, 3, not to react to that way to the rhythm, but you are aware of the rhythm, and then you are making a different cycle. That is also fine. But the connection happens, as you say, inhale and then exhale. So when the movements are going out, inhale and exhale, come back. Inhale. So there is a lot of inhale and exhalations is constantly happening. So with that awareness, so when that awareness is there of inhalation and exhalation and of the breath, and that's where you are connecting to your core, from where your dance energy is coming, not your physical energy, but your dance energy is coming. And that's where your connection internally, everything is going in. It's not only just doing the movements without any awareness. So then it becomes an exercise. So dance lies when you are aware of the breath of each and every move.
Thank you, Shila Mehta. Let's have one last question. I would like to talk about the concept of guru. Why? Because I see that in the West it has a very typical, specific meaning connotation. And I would like to elaborate on that to see if we can have some broader meaning to that word. Last class, I wrote your words down, Shila Mehta. Last dance class, you said something. You said, Guru is not a person. It's inside you. You are awakening it. So I thought that's a really beautiful set, so I wrote it down. Do you want to say something more about that?
Yes, of course. Guru, as the word says, Guru, one who takes you from darkness to lightness. So, definitely, as a human being, you need some person, a physical person who helps you, who enlightens you. But the Guru, when it needs to go to the level of the abstract. One needs to, the way the whole idea of the human being, I mean, again, it's all about the seeker. People are living without all these things. People say, why you want to think so much about this? But say, for example, we all are seeking to transcend from physicality to the spirituality, or from physical aspect of life, and we want to go beyond this physical aspect of life. So, same way, Guru, yes, physical person initially, but I would say ideal Guru to me will be a person who will awaken that Guru power or Guru Shakti, Guru strength within you. So it is a concept of from form to formless, because we all have Guru. Who is Guru? If you are so strong within, or you have understood the life with the correct perspective, most of the time you are able to guide yourself, you are able to take correct decision in life, you are able to discriminate between correct and wrong. Every part of your life, you will come at a crossroad, whether I need to do this or I should do this. Every time you are making a choice. So if you are groomed properly, if you have a proper understanding of life, most of the time your decisions are correct. At the end of it, we want to live a good life. Good life does not mean nowhere. I would like to say that nowhere spirituality or any other thing we are all talking about a very poor life. No, rather I think our life should be full of abundance, with full of prosperity, with full of material gain, and at the same time we should be equally conscious of the other aspect of life which is with us, which is to the well-being. So the Guru is the one who guides you to the well-being. Guru is the one who, so if you are trained, or if you are groomed, or if you were taught by your Guru, or if you are blessed with your Guru's blessings, and you are in that position, you create, you awaken your Guru. So that is what as a Guru, I think one needs to look at that. To me, the Guru is to take you from form to formless. So even the Guru is the word, or it is I would call symbolically, it needs to go. It needs to transcend from there. It's not a physical person. It is the spirit, Guru spirit, which guides you.
Thank you, Shila Mehta. François, what are your thoughts about Guru? The word Guru, the concept Guru?
I have several connections with the experience of a Guru, but I think it's more difficult for a Western mind to relate to the concept, or the surrendering to a Guru is more difficult for Westerners, because they're always suspicious they will be manipulated or taking advantage of, or lose their identity. Where I think the Indian people who are deeply rooted in the Indian culture, that's a bit more embedded in their blood, to have the sense of devotion and the bhakti, and it's all over the place. Where if you're in France, maybe not as much. There's a bit more of a political aspect of things who make people have more difficulty to surrender to the feet of the Guru. That being said, personally, I had 2 or 3 very important experience in India. One where I was in Pondicherry in the 70s and got the darshan from the mother at the Sri Aurobindo ashram. So something happened there. Then, for whatever reason, I ended up sleeping in a temple in Habalipuram, and because there was a storm, and I was sleeping on the beach. I had no money whatsoever. I was sleeping outside, and then the storm made me go in the temple because it was raining heavily. And so in the dark, I didn't see where I was going. So I lie down there and slept 2 hours. And when I woke up in the morning, I was next to Vishnu. There was a lying down Vishnu there. And he also gave me some kind of a fairly deep experience. So I don't know if, could Vishnu be a guru? But later on, when I met Mr. Iyengar, is actually more on a Vishnuist side, right? There's no Shiva in Pune because his family is from more Vishnu lineage. So Vishnu is more the reference point, and this is also why Patanjali came strongly there, because they're connected. When in some other schools, they don't talk as much about Patanjali because Shiva is ruling the place, like in Chidambaram or something. So I got more connection with the Vishnu aspect, maybe, of the guru through him as well. And I think for me, it's when there's something transpersonal, that's very important. So it's not about the person, obviously. If the guru is too much like a person, you see too much the person, then it's actually ego-oriented, and it creates all kind of trouble and dependency and so on. So I was scared, but I think I got maybe also I got smart. I don't know, but I never burned myself too close to the guru either. Right? So at times I had to surrender and let go of my person or merge into something bigger than myself. But I will say I didn't have a strong relationship with the guru in that sense, both for my culture and for my education. It was more difficult. But I had 2 or 3 transcendental experiences, yes. So I will agree. It's not, there's a force, and I think people have to become also eventually have to fly with their own wings. They have to be free from the dependency. So the gurus are actually true gurus. They help the students or the disciple to find freedom instead of keeping them around. So that's also, I think, a good point. It's a force, and you could have your inner teacher. It's not pretentious. It's just there's something in you guides you as well, and it could be helped by people or events or upagurus. Say other people you meet or other things who happen to you become also like some kind of a guru-like entity. So that really guides me as well through my life.
Thank you, François.
Yeah, it is so true. Guru needs to, first, as I said, the guru naturally is a physical because you are absolutely ignorant or innocent about it. But the real, genuine guru needs to empower a student, not to overpower, but empower a student so that a student can fly. So the whole idea is to enlighten her and just to create her own guru, her own proper guidance. So initially in India, yes, there are many examples where, as soon as you write the word guru, so it is, but what we are talking about is we are discussing now just the ideal guru. So ideal guru, initially, yes, they do keep you in a discipline. And when you are in your teenage, you may find that as a prison, or at certain ways, you may find that, it is taking away my freedom, independence. But if the guru is the correct one, because I think in India it is very much not believed, but yes, it is there that like till the 18 years, you don't have your own mind. I mean, maybe you may take a wrong decision, or maybe you are not that much with the wisdom. So the correct guru with the wisdom needs to guide you till then. It is not about taking the independence of some mind. But then at the same time, guru need to release you when you are done, and he or she sees in you that you have now your own wings, and it is safe to move you out of his or her vision. so that you can have your own. So yeah, I think so. It's an if in a proper if that Guru Shishya relationship, Guru Shishya parampara, if looked or seen in its proper way, it's a very good one. It's a genuinely, but yes, there are many examples. There are experiences people have which take them off of this. They become suspicious of gurus. But yeah, this parampara is, it's a Guru Shishya parampara is more about the holistic approach to the learning. It is not a specialized subject learning. It is more about teaching the life. So Guru word came for teaching life and not the subject. So when you are teaching, so it's like just like a parents in our house. So we always take it for granted that yes, parents will look after us and they will always think good of us. So same thing, only with gurus, you don't have biological relationships. So sometimes it is difficult to create that trust in that relationship. So yes, so there is it is challenging, but if you create that trust amongst that, then that is the best relationship one can have.
Thank you, Shila Mehta. I think in my viewpoint, that's also what attracted me to the Indian culture, to Indian dance, and also to yoga. That it's only a mean to grow as a human being and to approach life as well. Kathak as yoga, it's only a door that you open and you discover. So that holistic approach, I really like, connect to. So François Raoult and Shila Mehta, you are both inspiring people to me. So thank you very much for joining. And I'm really happy to have joined both of you also.
Thank you, Shila. It was an honor to be in your presence.
It was an honor to be with you, Francois. It's thought to, yeah. So nice.
Maybe I'll meet you in the US.
Of course, yes. Please let me know whenever you are in US.
Be sure to check our website on cross-roads.be and our Facebook page, Crossroads in Dance.